Will Israel Adesanya be a three-time champion, or is Dricus Du Plessis going to put it all to an end? Before we get into that, if you're new here, make sure you subscribe as we have brand new videos every single week. So, Mark, Dricus Du Plessis is set to face Israel Adesanya at UFC 305 and defend his belt. But my first question to you is, does Israel deserve the title shot?
No, is my simple answer to that one. I
Yeah.
don't care if you are Israel Adesanya. Look, you don't get title shot after title shot. He did so much for the division and he has cemented himself as one of, if not the best middleweight ever in the UFC's history. Let's face it, whether you like him or not, he is. But you don't just get chance after chance after chance. Fair enough with the Alex Pereira one,
Yeah.
because, that was his one and only blip in the middleweight division. And they had the big rivalry beforehand. But you can't keep doing this. How long does it go on for? Seriously.
Yeah, it's too much, isn't it? He doesn't deserve a title shot, but I think this is a case of right place, right time. He's a former champion. He's got history with Du Plessis, and they've got this big Australian card to sell. And I know he's not Australian, but he's sort of got that New Zealand connection and that sort of Australasia kind of thing. So he's not a home name, but sort of. So it's kind of like, right, who can sort of headline this big main event? If Volt can't have been twatted by Ilya, hurts me to say it, we might have seen a very, very different card happening because Volt
You
could
didn't
have
need
quite
that
easily got
adjective in there, Dwayne. You didn't. You just said beat. If you hadn't been beat by Ilya.
But it's happening anyway, and I think it's going to be a fun fight. And I kind of get the legacy behind it all because Israel did do so much, and he's beaten all these top contenders. So he doesn't deserve it, but I'm not too angry about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, makes complete sense. But like you said, though, like the tattoo says, broken native,
Yeah.
and it does represent that. Like it or not, or you can be pedantic about it. It does represent that sort of side of the world.
Yeah.
And like you said, I'm not angry about it either. You get to see Israel Adesanya in action, and I think he's going to come out to be putting a stamp on it. So it's
Yeah,
something to
definitely.
watch out for.
Well, contender is he's so dangerous, isn't he? Like we've seen him as champion, he kind of rests on his laurels a bit. He just goes, right, okay, I'll just go for point wins here. But when he's chasing after a title, I don't know, just like a different monster comes out, doesn't it? But Mark, what's your really early predictions for Dricus Du Plessis versus Israel Adesanya?
I'm going to go, this is a bit shocking, I'm going to go Dricus by decision.
Hmm.
I think, like you said just then, actually, that's tied in neatly. When Adesanya's got a point to prove, he comes out and he proves it. Even when he was champion against Paulo Costa, he hated the dude.
Yeah.
Had to prove, had to put an absolute exclamation mark at the end of that rivalry. I think he's going to be headhunting a little bit too much, and I think he's going to get clipped. Dricus has shown me that he is well deserving of being in that position. I didn't think much of him before, but look what he's proved since then. I think Dricus has all the tools available to get this done. What do you think? Do you think ×3 middleweight king or not?
Yeah, I think Israel Adesanya is going to get it done this time. I think Dricus's style is almost tailor-made to lose to someone like Izzy. We've seen Du Plessis, he does not stop. He always presses forward. He doesn't have a reverse button. He just keeps going and going and going. And I think the big problem with that is you're open up for counters, and a big counter striker like Izzy is going to keep catching you. I think he's going to keep hitting him with leg kicks and moving around. I just think it's set up perfect for Izzy to win.
I mean, the last fight was as well for
Mm,
Israel, but we'll
yeah.
we'll see. MMA maths doesn't always make sense, but we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the thing. I think this will answer that sort of question. Was it a blip at the office? Because
Mm.
I don't know what was going on with Israel. And I'm not making excuses for him. It's just, if he put on a crap performance, he put on a crap performance, that's on him. But there was something not quite right, was there? There was something very strange about the whole situation. And, is this going to be his moment to come back, or is it going to be a case of right, that's it, it's all over for him? And just to go back to your point on Dricus and sort of how you doubted him all the time, I've doubted him so much as well. And even when he's winning, he looks terrible, doesn't he? Like his technique looks all over the place. You're watching him, you're like, is this guy winning? Oh yeah, he is. It's like he just
Yeah.
manages to get things done, and I'm not quite sure how he's doing it. Look at that fight with Robert Whitaker. You see him press forward, drop, drop Rob, but he's got his guard down. He throws himself backwards. It's like he almost beat Rob by accident. Does that make sense?
It does in a way, because I mean, we don't talk about that fight either, to be honest, Dwayne. We just brush over that one
Yeah.
with Robert Whitaker. It still hurts. But even the fight one previous to that, when he fought Darren Till, if you remember that, The first round, I don't think Till got a strike open. It was an open goal for Dricus, and he did
Yeah.
nothing with it. He just pressed him against the fence. That was it. And you think, is he missing that killer ability? Is he missing that? Like, in order to be champion?
Yeah.
Time will tell, I suppose. But one thing's for sure, like with the rivalry, I am 100% looking forward to the fight.
Yeah, there is a lot of tension, isn't there, coming into this card, and and I think what's so good is Dricker seems so quiet and relaxed, but he's got some good one-liners, and I think in that press conference, I don't know how much you saw of it. I think Izzy would do better if he just shut up. Sometimes just take your licks. You don't have to have a comeback for everything. Like even the
Yeah.
best talkers in the world, like look at Shea, look at Connor. When someone gets something good over them, they just accept it. They just nod, right? Okay, what's the next bit?
Mm.
If you constantly try to fight for every little bit, you just end up looking stupid, don't you? It doesn't work that way.
Even McGregor knew to shut up. You know, the not McGregor fast, McGregor sleep
Yeah,
by
exactly.
Dustin. And you're like, just leave it. But
Yeah.
Israel, I used to think that he weren't really that corny and cheesy. Recent years have proved me wrong so badly. He's sometimes you watch, it's like you're watching The Office. You're just like, oh God.
It's so cheesy. David Brent in the UFC, if he was tall and handsome, but but Mark, if Izzy loses here though, where do you think he goes? Do you think we see him move towards retirement? You know, he's coming up to 35, he's beating everyone else in the division. And if he don't get another title shot, then what? Where does he go from there?
Well, it's easy to sort of shut the door on aging fighters, but Israel's in a similar position to what, say, someone like Connor is, except he
Mm,
doesn't have that level of notoriety and fame.
no.
He's proved what he needed to do, except Israel pretty much lapped the middleweight division. So he's arguably done a lot more in fighting in the octagon. So he could just take legacy fights, but then you go, who's the legacy fight? Really? At middleweight, who's the legacy fight? You got Robert Whittaker for a third time. Like as much as I love Whittaker, what? Why?
Yeah, that's the thing, is it? When you've lost twice already, it's hard to sell Whitaker versus Izzy, isn't it? It's so difficult, and there's not those kind of legacy fights anymore. Of course, he got to fight Anderson Silva, which is a really, really fun, almost exhibition fight in some ways, but Silva's off having exhibitions with Shield now that are definitely not fixed at all already.
Awful that. That's one of the fights. I'm just on a side note very quickly. I don't like when people say, "Oh, it's a complete fix." You think usually you go, just how good of an actor do you think these fighters are to just about clip each other? That's a fight that you could pluck out and go, "Yep, I believe you. That was fixed."
100%. Just because on that topic of acting, the acting was awful. It's literally
Yeah.
so bad from both guys. But I think they kind of just went, look, let's go out there, make a couple of quid, and just pretend to punch each other a little bit. It'll be all right. Um, but if Dricus though beats Israel Adesanya, and that'll now be his first defense, where does he go from there? Who does he fight next?
I think he just fights whoever's next in line. And I
Mm,
don't think that there's any other way about it. He's just a champion. Like this is a fantastic. If he can do it, this is you can't ask for a better first title defense
yeah,
than defending against Israel Adesanya and being successful. There's so many fights available for him at middleweight. I
yeah,
don't believe Dricus is, he ain't chomping at the bit to move up a weight already. He's actually
don't
right.
think
This is
so.
my division. And look, he's paid his dues, whether you think he got there authentically or whether he got there by accident. He's done it. And
Yeah.
he's beat these guys that are in front of him. I just think we're just going to, if he does beat Adesanya, we're just going to see a strong, sturdy champion. I sound like Theresa May there, don't I? Strong and steady. But I think that that's what we're going to see from him. Just title defense after defense. I think he's going to be a busy and active champion.
Yeah, I hope so. I certainly hope so. But I think the problem with the middleweight division, it's the same problem that we saw with Izzy. Izzy beat all the top contenders and then he started running out of guys to fight, and then Strickland got his shot and just sort of threw everything out of the water. And I think the problem was Du Plessis, if he beats Izzy, he's beat Sean Strickland, he's beat Robert Whittaker. Well, now who? Do you know what I mean? It's almost as though he'll have no one left to fight already, and it'll be his first defense. He's already knocked off the top of his own division, and then we've got to start looking at whoever's ranked fourth and fifth to give him a new matchup. But it's likely just going to be rematches, I think, unfortunately.
Yeah, the middleweight division, it's not that interchangeable anymore. It
No.
used to be, even just a couple of years ago, you had guys like even Paulo Costa in there, you had Marvin Vittori in there, just swapping and changing. Jared Cannonier.
Mm.
There's going to be a few names, but we might see a few new breakthrough stars as well that'll be challenging. You think I've only ever seen a couple of his fights or something, but
Yeah.
that's what divisions just move on, don't they? I think this is just the division is aging slightly, so it's bound to get a few guys that are dropping off, i.e., Vittori and Paulo Costa. Get Costa out of the UFC, by the way. What the hell's he doing? What have you done for me lately? Nothing.
He's
Don't even send any good memes anymore, does he?
no, exactly. No good memes, no use. But yeah, and let's have a little look at Izzy then. So if Izzy does manage to beat Du Plessis and then becomes a three-time champion, do you think the automatic rematch with Strickland is there in place, right?
Has to be, doesn't it? It's
Yeah.
it's the blemish. It's the blemish he needs to get back, I think.
Mm.
The at middleweight anyway, because once he's done that, that's it. He's completed it. He's completed the middleweight division.
Yeah.
Every single person that he's beat, whether he's been beat himself, but he's always got that defeat back, like George St. Pierre in his division. It has to be Strickland. That's the one and only. And then after that, then sail off into the sunset, boy.
Yeah, it has to be, doesn't it? He's got to fight Sean Strickland, I think. But have you noticed though, Sean Strickland says that he's going to refuse to fight Robert Whittaker, which I find a bit strange. For me, that seems the perfect number one contender fight. I don't think Sean Strickland can say, I deserve a title shot when he's lost his first defense and then beat Costa, the guy who coming off a loss to Whittaker. So for me, for Strickland to just say he's going to sit it out, I think it's a big, big mistake. I don't think he should be doing that.
I think if he sits out, he's going to be forgotten.
Yeah.
And that I'm in full agreement there. The perfect fight to make now is Robert Whittaker, Sean Strickland. Like Strickland's doing fine, and Whittaker just coming off a first round knockout win. They're
Mm.
both good to go. Maybe in the later end of this year, ideal. And whoever wins that is the number one contender. Surely. What
Yeah.
a silly move by Strickland, though, if he doesn't take that. Because they've never fought before either. Give us more exciting fights. Let's go. We've never seen this fight before.
Yeah, 100%. It's such a strange decision for him, isn't it? But I guess it does set Whitaker up for a title shot if that happens. So say if Strickland comes out, he beats the winner of Du Plessis and Izzy, he then fights Whitaker probably. So I guess he'll still end up fighting Whitaker. But it's just, I think, like you said there, it's really poor to just wait it out because you'll get forgotten. And I think someone like Strickland, I think you've got to stay active to stay notable because I think he's kind of a one and done kind of guy. And, and he's sort of his gimmick, as it were, wears quite thin. I don't think there's a long longevity in that. So he needs to come out and fight as often as possible. Otherwise, he's going to lose his
Well,
fan base. And Dana doesn't reward people who wait out unless you're Colby Covington.
yeah, well, yeah, that's a different story, though, isn't it? But like you said then, though, with Strickland, because not in a disrespectful way, it was more of an Apex fighter. He's a main event of the Apex. And don't forget, was it 293 in Adesanya? Everyone was writing him off, and you're just thinking, oh, it's probably the only guy who's available. No one expected him to win. It was like his Buster Douglas moment, and he ended up doing it. And then in his first defense, very, very close fight, very good fight, I might add as well, but he still lost.
Yeah.
So like you say, it might be maybe one and done. Has he just reached the top, and that's him going back down now? Prove us wrong, Strickland.
Yeah.
Go and
Feels
beat my
that way,
boy
doesn't
Rob
it?
if you
Yeah.
can, and then
And I think there's a lot of options though for Izzy as well, though, isn't it? If he does get that win, he can fight Strickland, or he could move up to 205 and get that trilogy with Alex. I think that's a fight that's always going to be appealing, isn't it? Whether you like Izzy or not, if he's going to go and fight Alex up at 205, you've got the chance of watching him getting knocked out or getting a glorious win. So, like, for either fan base, it's win-win, isn't it, to get Alex versus Izzy 3?
well, that could be a perfect point if he wanted to hang the gloves up there. If he became a double champ, because don't forget he tried a couple of years ago against Big Jan,
Mm.
and unfortunately didn't go his way. If he did beat Alex, this is the his bitter old rivalry, and he manages to just tally another name for himself on there and then retire as double champion. That's a perfect time. But then again, though, again, it swings and roundabouts. As being a fan, you go, well, now there's two divisions that are wide open. The
Yeah.
light heavyweight division has been on hold for so long. I'm glad that we've got Alex Pereira there. I hope Alex would kick his ass if he got into that fight again, just to keep the division active.
Yeah. Well, I think though, to be fair, Alex is quite old now. I think if he beats Izzy again, he'll probably just end up retiring as well. He'll get a big pile of cash. Like, think of the pay-per-view points he'll get off that. 300, 303, and then a big pay-per-view with Izzy. Oh, he'd never needs to fight again. The pile of cash he'll have is
There'd
be
be so much,
ridiculous.
but the thing is with Alex though, is he don't look old.
No.
Does it? He fights young, hungry, like he's just there. Just you come near me, I'm gonna absolutely
Yeah.
nail you.
Well,
I
that's
mean,
the
that was
problem,
just
isn't
an
it?
absolute point made, well, wasn't it, against Yuri, the second one?
Oh,
People didn't think I knocked him out the
brutal.
first time. I'll do it properly this time.
Absolutely brutal. It was a scary KO, honestly. It's one of the best KOs of the year. It was heartbreaking to see, but just the technique on it. But it's funny, isn't it, with Alex, not looking old. I think that's what's so difficult about watching sort of the UFC when you're in your 30s. It's like, right, here's this old bastard come out. He's a veteran of the sport. You think, oh, God,
You
they're
think we
only a
have the
year
same
older.
birthday?
Yeah, they're only a year older than me. But whether we like it or not, Israel Adesanya is getting this title shot at UFC 305. And I think we're going to be in for a really fun fight. So thank you for watching. If you can like, comment, and subscribe, it really does help us out.